Hello, today I will be presenting our group presentation. We had the dairy species, dairy cattle, and we have the dairy well audit tool we will be going over, as well as the American Humane Farming Program audit tool. This presentation was put together by Madison Osborne, Lauren MacDonald, Emily Solis, Marcos Ocampo, Nicholas Machado, and Zara Bradshaw. To start off this presentation, we will be going over the production background. I will cover the breed specifics, the economic impact, and the production systems used. For breed specifics, we have the top 7 breeds of dairy cattle listed here. We have the Holstein, the Jersey, the Guernsey, the Ayrshire, the Milking Shorthorn, Wed Swiss, White Swiss, and Brown Swiss. Holstein and Jerseys do make up the majority of the dairy cattle used in the western part of the United States. The Holsteins are known to be the highest producers of milk weights per pound, and that's what makes them popular, as well as the Jerseys have the highest number of milk protein and butter fat per pound, and that's what makes them popular in that aspect. Moving on to the economic impact. Here in the United States in 2019, 218.4 billion pounds of milk was produced. The value of all the milk products sold from the United States dairy farms is nearly $37.2 billion. In the United States, the dairy production and processing industry accounts for over 900,000 jobs in the United States, which would have a big economic impact if something happened to the industry. The United States is seeing a large decline in milk production growth in the last few years due to the increase in non-dairy milk alternatives. There was an increase of 0.4% in 2019 versus 2018. This small increase was last seen in 2013. According to the Real California Milk Facts, in May 2018, California is the #1 milk producer in the United States, with an average of 39.8 billion pounds of milk being produced per year. One California dairy cow produces an average of 23,000 pounds of milk per year, and the California had a 55.1% increase in milk production per cow between 1986 to 2016. Here we have our production systems. We will be looking at a traditional dairy operation system and covering the employee training on proper handling and welfare of the dairy cows. There will be written standard operating procedures, also known as SOPs, for all stages of life. The evaluation of dairy cattle in their natural habitat to make sure in the production world that they are healthy. Barns are also set up for easy water and food retrieval for the cows, and maintenance and evaluation of all machinery will be recorded as well. Here we have 3 main different production systems in the commercial dairy industry. We have housed, pastured, and combination. First, here we have housed, which is the most common method in the United States. The cows are kept in enclosed areas and stalls such as freestall barns, tie stall barns, or open lots. The feed rations are much higher in concentrations. For example, commonly used is corn silage. Cows are also more dependent on employees to be fed since that's their only source of food. For the next production system, pasture, cows are kept in pastures and only come to a facility or a housing area to be milked, and they can eat off the pastures as well. And then some production systems use a combination of both housed and pasture, and they can rotate the cows depending on the time of the year and the production season they're in. The first audit tool we have is the Dairy Well audit tool. This audit tool's goal is to provide an audit in which no score is given, but encourages farms to improve over time to meet the high standards and give the farm opportunity to succeed and not be shut down. The audit is driven by science using scientific evidence and reasoning as support. This was thought through farmers, ranchers, veterinarians, and other scientists. For our second audit tool, the American Humane Farming Program, it began in 1877. In 2000, it had its first third-party audit program in the United States, and their goal is to present an audit tool that will encourage and support the humane treatment of animals used for food like dairy cows. They base their system on the 5 freedoms of animal welfare, and this audit tool also focuses on the nutrition, health, and safety of the dairy cows, and you need an 85% to pass this program. The target audience for the Dairy Well audit tool is farmers, veterinarians, dairy processors, and the general public. They want the general public to know that the animals are healthy and safe what they're auditing. This tool is mainly used for training purposes only. They will have to go through a different certification to be actually audited, but it is a good tool for farmers to use on their employees. And for the American Humane Program, their target audience is also as well farmers, the general public, dairy processors, managers, stockmen, and employees on the dairy farm. The scoring protocol for the first audit tool is the Dairy Well. It is a yes or no system. It is used to promote farms to keep improving rather than just giving a pass or fail or numerical scoring system. They like to give farmers time to improve and give them a certain score. Must be scored by a second or third party auditor certified by the PAACO. The protocol for this scoring is an introduction meeting with a certified auditor, on the farm audit, which will contain a critical audit criteria, a level 1 animal care and handling, as well as a level 2 outcome basis observation. The audit will also have a review and discussion results that will go over non-conformances, and then they will plan to have a follow-up visit. The scoring protocol for the American Humane Program is a point score system, and a pass and fail is used as well. It is also scored by a third-party auditor, and the protocol is that the audit will be on-site, and the farm must meet the standard requirements for each section of the audit for full points. No partial credit will be given. If the audit items are not applicable, their points will be deducted from total points at the end, so it will not affect them if they don't meet that criteria, if they don't have it. To pass each section, the producer must receive a score of at least 85% and pass all pass or fail sections. The management for the Dairy Well audit tool versus the American Humane audit tool, they both kind of said the same thing. They both pride themselves on highly evaluating the welfare of animals in different ways. Their welfare of animals is their first priority, and Dairy Well takes a more approach to explaining what to do and what should be seen and what should be done. It lists each audit item followed by a scientific evidence and reasoning behind it, so it is more science-based. And the American Humane Program lists their audit program and keeps the explanations to a minimum. So if something is wrong, you're not for sure the full explanation of why. For more on the management side of the dairy well audit tool, it provides in-depth reasoning with scientific evidence and background. There is training courses for new hires and existing employees that need to be trained at least once a year. Tail docking is prohibited. Records should be up to date with health records as well for all individual animals that are needed. Written standard operating procedures, SOPs, for all farm operating areas are needed, as well as the environment. All facilities must be designed and maintained to provide and promote animal health. Everything should be safe for the cows. The cow's body condition should be no more than 3% of calves should be score lower than a 3. In the locomotion, no more than 15% of cows can be scored. Lactating cows should be lame. No more than 15% of scored lactating cows should be lame. For the American Humane Program, they reserve the right to hold unannounced audits at any time with certification period, making farms need to be ready at all times. They specify that their audit program is suited for any facility in varying geographic and temperature reasons. They want to make sure that lots of farms can use this audit program. If an outside company is held responsible for other processes involving the animals, proper documentation must be available for the auditor. Implementation of zero tolerance policy is input that any willful acts of abuse or neglect during the audit program will suspend the audit. The farm manager will be notified, as well as the audit company, and the American Humane Program will stop their audit. The emergency response plan is required for this audit, and the handling of cattle only be with benign tools they should not be closely restrained, they specifically state. For the euthanasia aspect of management, Dairy Well believes in timely euthanasia. Animals with catastrophic injuries should be euthanized immediately, and there should be immediate action on animals. The treatment or euthanasia provided should be done by a veterinarian. And for the American Humane audit tool, vets are needed to determine when an animal requires euthanasia. Only a trained individual or veterinarian should perform the euthanasia of the animal, and they must be euthanized humanely and immediately at vet's approval. They also list that transportation, treatment, euthanization, all must be documented. Records of euthanization equipment must be maintained and up to date for the animals and for the program. And here we have some automatic fails and nonconformances from the audit tools. First up, we have the Dairy Well audit tool. Here is a list of their automatic fails. If the cattle have no access to adequate water, there is willful acts of abuse or neglect. The farm is not providing care for cattle and they cannot rise, stand, walk without assistance. There is no employee training, and there is improper transportation of cows by the employees. For example, the employees could be yelling, whistling, kicking, hitting, ear grabbing, prodding. Anything to hurt the animal to get them to move is inappropriate. It is understood that a third-party processor will not typically allow for a follow-up demonstration of corrective actions or reevaluation. It is the responsibility of the party requesting the third-party audit to provide follow-up or guidance on the required actions based on the farm's performance. For the American Humane Farming Program, any item that had points deducted is considered a non-conformance, even if the farm receives a certificate. So even if the farm receives an 85% and pass something, but they still have points deducted, they need to fix that issue. All issues need a corrective action that will be listed in the nonconformance report at the end of the audit. Both the manager and the auditor will have to sign the nonconformance report, agreeing to knowing issues and understand and agreeing to fix all nonconformances listed on the report. Any score that is less than 100% will need a corrective action plan. The American Humane Nonconformance Corrective Action Plan must be made when nonconformances occur. The corrective action plan should include how each problem will be corrected. When steps are taken to follow the corrective plan, a completion report will be made to show implementation of the plan. This is submitted to the American Humane Program for review and approval. Here we have their dairy wells instructions and training aspect of their audit. The dairy well audit program and dairy well service mark are used under the license by Dean Foods Company. This may only be used by the PAACO for audit training purposes, may not be used to perform audits or copied in a whole or part of purposes of PAACO training without the express written permission of Dean's Foods Company. All farms and vets are encouraged to unofficially use the dairy well audit method, and the official dairy well audits must be done by a second or third party in good standing with the PAACO. Currently, the PAACO dairy audit certification is not available until such time. Dairy well SM audits may only be done by a person with a bachelor's degree or above with a minimum of 5 years experience in handling, care, and welfare of dairy cattle and trained by one of the audit authors. For the American Humane training, they have instructions that are very clear and precise. For the auditors, they have detailed lists and explanations of each scoring section provided. Documentation must be provided for outside companies that are used for things like marketing and slaughter. They must prove that they are properly trained in the specific area. The scoring methods for Dairy Well versus American Humane. Dairy Well has hygiene scoring from a 1 to 3. 1 is acceptable, 3 is poor. They have a body conditioning scoring from a 1 to 3, as well as an injury scoring from a 1 to 3. Locomotion scoring is from a 1 to 3 as well, and all 1s are acceptable or normal, and all 3s are severe, emaciated, or lame. And the American Humane scoring system, they have a hygiene scoring of 95% of the cows should score 1 to 2 out of 4. The locomotion scoring for the American Humane system is 95% of the cows should have a 1 to 2 out of a 5. Here we have a pass or fail. The dairy well is not a pass or fail audit. It includes a high set of standards and entities that should be met, and they strive to have farms meet those. The American Humane uses a pass or fail model based on a calculated score, and the farm must also reach 85% to pass. For improvements, their dairy well, instead of no score, they should set up a percentage with 100%, meaning that the farm in question fully meets the requirements. In this way, the entity can see in a percentage how far off they are from fully fulfilling the dairy well method. In the American Humane, they're pretty straightforward and easy to follow. They also could improve by providing information on how subjective scoring should be scored for this audit. In conclusion, both of these audit tools provide an adequate amount of information to properly train any person that is working with and around dairy cows. These audits also target farmers and the public to ensure the safety and health of the cows producing on a specific farm. These audits also provide a scoring system for farmers to improve their score if they got nicked for nonconformance during the audit scoring process. These audits are also set up for a dairy manager to properly train, manage a farm and the employees on the farm. And overall, these tools are very valuable to a dairy farm and will provide the farm with basic knowledge of how a farm should be run and should be audited. Thank you.